Hey everybody, we're going to try this new lesson format where I make a video and then you'll kind of follow along and be able to learn the lesson but work at your own pace. This will also work really well if you are gone. So if we look at our first slide, just a quick review from something that you have used before, but it's super important that we're accurate on this. So we are looking at graphing on a coordinate plane. So we've seen this before, we've worked with this, but a couple of things to notice when we have an ordered pair, x comma y, our x value is coming first. And I'm going to trace that over with this yellow line here. That is where we're going left or right. Our y coordinate, which is the second one, I'll trace it over here with this red line. That is us going up or down. So if we first look at this first ordered pair, 7 comma 3, I'm going to start at the origin and I'm going to the right 7 because it is a x coordinate, and it looks like I'm going up 3 for my y coordinate. If we do another one, we've got, looks like -4 as our x. So if I start at 0, negative means I'm going to the left, and it looks like my y is 2. So I'm going up 2. Let's do 2 more quick because 0 can kind of trick us up. If I'm at start at 0, that's my x coordinate. I don't need to go left or right anymore, but I do need to go up 6 because it is my y coordinate. Last one here, because zeros, remember, can be tricky. We've got, it looks like I'll start at my origin, 0, 0. I'm going to the left, hit that -4, but my y is at 0. So I'm technically at 0 because I don't need to go up or down. So that's our review for going plotting points on a coordinate grid. If we look at our next slide, it actually matches what you see on your worksheet. So this is the worksheet that we're looking at, okay? So we already have done the warm-up, so we can move on to number 2. I'm going to do the letter A for you, and then you'll be able to do the rest by yourself. So looking at A, it looks like it is 0.5, that's my x, comma 4. So on the coordinate plane, A says plot each point and label with its coordinates. So I'm going to take a point, and it looks like I'm going to start at the origin, but I'm going to go over 0.5. Now my y tells me if I go up or down. 4 is positive, so I'm going to go up 4. I plotted my point, but it also told me to label the coordinates. So that is A. Now, looking carefully here, it says part B, using the x-axis as the line of reflection or my mirror, I'm going to plot the image. So let's make sure we know which is our x. Y is our vertical, x is our horizontal. So x will be our yellow axis, okay? So if we are reflecting over that mirror, our A prime should be on the opposite side of the mirror. Now we're not moving it left or right at all. A reflection is just on the opposite side of that line of reflection. So we're staying at 0.5, but instead of going 4 up, we have to go down 4. So I'm going to move our point over just a little bit, and it looks like it wants me to also label the image with its coordinates. So I have A prime, but it looks like it's at 0.5, comma 4. I did that because the directions said to label the coordinates. We've got a letter and we know exactly where it is. So your job right now is to do the same thing for B, C, D, and E. Make sure you plot it, reflect it over that x-axis, label it, and tell me where it is. Good luck. The next thing we're going to look at is a pattern that we noticed. So in this ordered pair here, I'm going to highlight, these are all the points that you just worked really hard on. You know exactly where they were originally and then where they moved to. So I want us to kind of look at something. So if we're at A and we were at 0.5, when we reflected it, the X was still at 0.5. Now look at our Y. It was at 4. Now it's at -4. Let's look at B. X -4, X -4. Then it became 5, and the Y became -5. Okay, C. X was 7, X is still 7. The Y was -2, and now it became a +2. So on the back of your worksheet, number 3, it says, what pattern happens when we reflect over the x-axis? What's happening there? Let's look again at some generic points. It was 13 as an x, 13. My y, the number is staying the same, but what is happening with the positive and the negative? I'm going to give you a moment to write down your answer. Here is the pattern that you noticed. When we reflect over that x-axis, that x-coordinate stays the same because it's not going to the left or right at all. It's staying right on that mirror in the line. But the y-coordinate, because we're reflecting it from top to bottom or bottom to top, the y-coordinate changes signs. If it was positive, now it's negative. If it's negative, it's now positive. So this is also the answer key so you can check all of your points. If you want a quick check, you can pause now. Now we're going to look at reflecting over the y-axis. This is on the back side of your worksheet as well. So we have been given a point R, which has a coordinate of 3, because we went over 3 on the x, and up 2. Now, without graphing, it wants us to predict the coordinates of the image of point R if point R were reflected using that y-axis as the line of reflection. So quick review before we look at that. Our red line that I have used to trace over our y-axis is, again, the vertical axis. So right now I'm going to pause while you figure out without graphing where you think it could be. Now, let's check our answer from actually doing the reflection. So if we are reflecting here, I see R is there. It's 3 points away from the axis. So knowing our rules of reflection, how many points should it be away from the axis on the left side? Go ahead and work now on labeling the image as R prime and telling me where it should be. I'll pause now. So hopefully you remembered that our reflection should be the same distance away on those corresponding points. So if it was originally at 3, 2, it should now be at -3, 2. Here's another generic point. If it was originally at 10, 100, it would now be at -10, 100 if we reflected over that y-axis. So you're noticing a different pattern than when we reflected over the x. So suppose you reflect a point across the y. What would happen, or what is the pattern? I'll pause now. The pattern is that the x will change. It'll become positive or negative, whatever the opposite is. Notice the numbers are not changing in a reflection. They're staying the same, but if we are changing over the y, the x changes. So that's kind of weird. So if you're changing over the y, the opposite or the x will become opposite, just like 3 became -3. Both don't change, so those are our two patterns. Make sure if you are confused on the patterns that you visit with Mrs. Stee right now. Here are your two practice activities that you are going to do by yourself today. When you are ready for these, please raise your hand and Mrs. Stee will bring you the practice problems to you. So practice problem 1 will be, you have 3 points, A, B, and C, and you are going to translate or slide them. Looks like you're going to slide them up to the right 4 and up 1 unit. And you are going to plot the images A prime, B prime, and C prime. The last problem that you are going to work on today is you have 2 points, actually 3, D, E, and F. And we are going to take those and reflect them over the y-axis, which I've highlighted in red. So if you need help with this, go back to when you reflected over the y-axis on your paper, okay? These two practice problems are due tomorrow. If you have a question, raise your hand while you work. Good luck.